It has been a long couple of months for everyone. Giving me, myself, permission to just create the big witchy hat of my dreams and to just not really sure what I'm doing. I've seen some people make hats and I've seen some people make witches hats specifically, and I'm trying not to copy off of anyone's particular style. I want to just make it mine, and that could end badly. Let's get started. To begin, I want to show you some of the drafting process I went through. I drew up some really rough sketches of just hats and just witches hats and stuff that I might like. I think I like this first one the most. It's got that wonderful curve and it's just all whimsical, and I like the potential for just shenanigans. And so the second one was kind of close as well, like just that. I love that long angle is probably what it is. And so going from there and going off of my favorite sketch, kind of added more to it to see what I would do, see what I might like. We might go bigger than this, we might go smaller than this. We might not even get this far. Anyways, from here, we're going to move on to the materials and you'll see what I have. Black felt for the main body, thick gray canvas, and I'm not really sure what it is, but those are the fabrics I've got. To finish off the decoration bits, I've got, just a couple of flowers, not too many, just some fabric, flowers from the dollar store, and, just a couple of feathers, nothing extravagant. They weren't like $10 at Hobby Lobby for like 4 feathers. It's fine. This is fine. I have a theme going on with the blue and the yellow and the orangey. I really love this combination of colors. They're my ultimate favorite. And I think the variety might look really nice with the the lighter yellows and then the darker like red umber colors. I think that'll look nice, and then the blue will just pop, and then the feathers have this really pretty just like shimmery color to them. It's hopefully going to look good together. It might be too much. I may be overreaching for my dreams of a giant witchy hat, but you know what? You can't know if you're overreaching until you reach for them. That's your wisdom from me today. And then here are my journal sewing supplies. Anyway, let's get going.
With my hair down, I took the measurements for my head, the length I wanted the brim to extend to, the length for the cone, starting from the same place I took the head measurement. That last measurement wasn't quite long enough for my estimate, so I added a little bit more. Okay, now let's get going. I drafted a paper mock-up to give myself a good sense for how big the hat would be. After this garden gnome fashion show, we're off. Using chalk, I measure out where the brim starts and where it meets my head. I did it wrong in my first step. You see, I used the head measurement to just go across through the brim. It would have been wrong, and the diameter, whatever math terms are. Luckily, I caught myself before it was too late and did some corrections.
I can better emphasize with Ed and Al from Full Metal Alchemist. They have to draw circles all the time for the show, and they just freehand, easy, perfect circles every single time. See, I didn't even freehand this and it looks like crap, so skills.
Pinning the 2 layers together, I cut out the felt for the brim, leaving about an inch around the lines for the seam allowance. I fold the felt and leave a similar-ish seam allowance for the center, and measure and cut the cone and all the rest of the materials the same way.
Okay, so now that we have the brim cut out, we're going to kind of do a general check. This is not how it's going to look in the end, fingers crossed, but something kind of like this, I can see if I've got the brim length as much as I wanted it to be. I'm ready for my close-up. So I like how big this is. It makes me feel like a kid. Obviously, it is definitely very floppy, which is which is really fun right now, but if I went out wearing this, obviously can't really drive wearing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that canvas that I had mentioned to stiffen this up, make it a little bit more structured. And then I want to use wire so I can bend and fold the edges of it a lot. I might be able to just like tighten it and bend it back into itself, or maybe just like make it a small enough circle that it'll just want to be something stiff. I like where we're starting from. This is the vibe that we're going for. Just this really big, as my shoulders look like a sun hat, but as I wish. Okay, so we're gonna move on to the next step and get the cone cut out as well, and we'll go from there. Okay, now that we've got the circle mostly done, this is going to be the part that goes around my finger. Yeah, that hurts. This is going to be the part that goes around my head, obviously. The brim is a little nice and flattened and cleaned up a little bit. This is excess so that I can sew all of the hat seams together, so I'm going to leave this here, and this is also what's going to be sewn to the hat cone. So this is good, and now what I'm going to do is I want to, once we've neatened up along the edges, I'll have just some of this at the edge. And so when I sew the two felt pieces together, oh, hello, this is Rex. Rex, say hi to everybody on the camera. So once we've cleaned up the canvas part, then we'll have the two felt pieces that are sewn together, and that'll be where I put the wire. Okay, this looks decent. Okay then, so what we've got here is the cut, as nice as I'd like it to be. I've cut the canvas to more closely match the net on the felt, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my needle and I'm going to do some pad stitching. This is my first time pad stitching. I have no idea what I'm actually doing, but I've watched a couple of tutorials from YouTube now, and I have obsessively watched several of them by now. So I'm hoping to just give this some nice sturdy secureness, and then we'll go from there. Wish me luck. Okay, so I've done this first line of pad stitching, and I'm going to just check to see how it looks on the other side. That doesn't look too bad, I hope. You can't read entirely, you can't see it too much. You can kind of see it just because of the contrast, but this is supposed to be the underside of the hat, and so the brim should hopefully have the structure without having these lines all on the top, because the other brim I cut out is going to be what I sew on top, so that I can do this and have the hat stay nicely together without having it gape. And I hope this will just bring all my layers together in a very nice way. So I'm going to do I think just a lot of lines all around. I'm not going to go too crazy with this. I'm going to just do probably, oh, this is a fairly large brim. I'm most likely going to do probably 10 or 12 lines just to get a good sense of it. I'll do some opposing just to try and make sure this is nice and all flat, and then I can remove pins as I go and as I get this secured, and then once this is all done, we will put it together again. Let's go. Coffee update. We are on to our second cup. I am sad to say I dropped my other mug, so this is a sad day. We're going to have a moment of silence for our broken mug. And now we're gonna move on. Just about to turn in for the night. I've only just barely gotten a couple of, let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines on the brim. at least 5, 7, 8 more to go. Everything is everywhere. All right, well, good morning. We've got some beautiful sunlight to work with, a little bit of progress and a lot to get done, so I'm just gonna get started and we'll see how far we can get. Put on my granny glasses. I wish they were actually as cute as granny glasses. That would be nice. Okay, we've gotten a good portion of it done. Oh, we are at coffee cup number 3 so far. Thank you, almighty coffee. We've gotten most, if not all, of the pad stitching. And there's a couple of spots I might do just to kind of even it out. I don't think it needs to be perfect, just because this is just to give the brim a little bit more strength, so it's not so floppy. I think that this will do nicely for my purposes. We're going to put these right sides together. Right now I've got the canvas pad stitching on the inside because I want to see how they look. We're going to put right sides together and we're going to sew along the outside, just like right above the canvas on the inside, because that's where the net markings are. The chalk markings are barely there. There it is. We'll sew these right sides together, turn it inside out, and then once it's the right side out, once it basically looks like this but with all of the lining like turned on the inside, wire in, and then we'll pin it all into place, and then we'll be able to see exactly how it's looking. Okay, I'm really getting excited. This is turning out kind of how I was thinking. I still need to do the lining and the cone all together. I might just, no, I definitely do want to treat the lining, maybe do this, and then we'll sew that. We'll sew them together. Bada bing, bada boom. Let's do it. I think I have made a mistake.
Now that the cone is all sewn together, I'm doing a quick test to see how it's all looking.
So we've had a thing happen, which I think is totally fine. Basically, I probably just didn't center out the cone properly, because when I was trying to fit the edges together, going from the tip, because we want this to be the center, obviously, it doesn't line up perfectly along the actual brim. But I think it is fine. The length is still the same, it just is now a little bit different, and it still fits on my head from when I was just testing it now, and I still like the shape of it. It's just a little bit off on my measurements probably. My laughable drafting process is not foolproof, I will say. So right now I am really happy with how this is turning out, and so I'm going to get this part stitched up. We'll get this nice and secure on this. I'll probably cut it to fit properly and then also along it before I do the long edge. And then from here, we'll turn it inside out once it's all sewn and see how it looks. Oh, coffee update. Coffee number 4. Don't at me with my caffeine addiction. I don't leave the house anymore. I need it. I had some thoughts as I was sewing the brim, and turning it inside out was more work than the effort should have been. My initial plan was to sew this right sides together and then turn it inside out, but I don't want to do that anymore because that was annoying in the brim, and we're not about that life. So instead, what we're going to do is I'm going to go around and I'm going to basically just pin everything close to where the canvas is, because the canvas is net on the pattern. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pin it down close, and I'm going to do this. I'm going to sew the brim in 2 parts around. I'm going to sew it once very close, like further inside on the brim, basically just somewhere like further along than it is, but it'll be folded in nicely. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the wire, so I'm going to sew it so that it'll be sewn here, and then I'm going to come back around with the wire inside of it and then sew it again with it now on the inside, and then I'll do the outer seam. That way that'll be in there nice and secure. I won't have to turn this inside out, and that will make my life easier. We are on coffee number 5. Now that the brim has gotten sewn, we're going to take stock of the damage. I definitely did not plan things out to go as well as I want them to, but you know, this is going to work. This is going to be something nice, I hope. Will it be hot as hell because of the canvas and the felt and the black and everything? Yes. Really witchy. Who cares about anything else? It'll be witchy. That's all that matters. So really, the only question is, what time is it? Sewing time. Just look how big it is. It's so dramatic.
Confident that I was on track, I shaped the hat. I cut a strip from the lining material and used that to protect all my raw edges.
I needed to trim down the seams on this side just so I could really get it nice and flat and not have it be like bulking up my head too much. Kind of scared to do it because I really don't want this, I really want this to be nice and I want this to not fall apart. And so I was really kind of a chicken about cutting the seams, but honestly, like, they're very secure. This has got like 5 layers of things into it. None of these are really going to fray except for maybe this. And that's the point of what I'm doing now. And let's get finished. And this is mug number 10. We will finish this before I get another mug. 10 mugs should be more than enough, right? I shouldn't need any more than that. Right?
And finally, decorating. I remembered that we had a foam head stuffed in a closet and saved myself the hassle of trying to pin and sew, putting it on and then taking it off again, and then putting it back on and then taking it off again.
Making this witch hat has been a lot of things, but mostly it was the opportunity for me to finish something that I had thought up and wanted to do years ago. And while I know it's not perfect, it's kind of showing myself that I can do the things I really want to do and helping me push myself to finish my projects. It's been interesting that filming my projects have pushed me to really finish them than before, where I would just stop in the middle, let it fade away. And I'm really excited about the future.